They want to eliminate what they call the deep state. The deep state is a cadre of professionals dedicated to honoring the Constitution, the laws of this country, and carrying out the policies of the Congress and the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President. The deep state dedicated to carrying out the policies of the President.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. It is a Category 5 SHTF scenario coming down, folks. The storm is almost upon us. For some of us, it already is. Like up there in Florida, we're getting hammered with heavy rains. But out there in the world, folks, the SHTF storm is upon some countries more than others, but the United States of America, it's coming. It is Sunday Night Live, folks. And that means you get to direct this show with your questions, your comments, your thoughts, your jokes, your statements, and your predictions. And we're starting the show off really strong with a Darcy T and also a Chin Music question, comment, thought, etc. And by the way, Chin Music, get your question down below for Uman to grab. I'm going to start, though, with Darcy T, who has done a $50 super chat. And when you do a $50 or more super chat, I break out the Glenlivet 15 single malt Scotch whiskey. Oh, and this one you can smell this. This is aged in a French oak barrel, and you can really smell it. The bouquet is just fantastic. But, folks, it's always the smooth, peaty Scotch taste that I enjoy. Here's to you, Darcy, and we'll get to your question in one quick second. Oh, Semper Fi to you, Darcy, and here is her question for today. All right, don't the computer tried erasing it, folks. They like doing that. She says, we are seeing a two-tiered policing model unfold in the United Kingdom. That would be jolly old England, to include Scotland, Ireland, and Wales. The Brits, who are protesting the brutal stabbing of 3 little girls by an immigrant, are labeled as far-right extremists and are being arrested. The 3 little girls were not stabbed. I need to correct this. They were stabbed to death. And the parents, the people, the citizens who are against this are being called far-right extremists. And the ministers of parliament, basically their House of Representatives, they're saying that they will be taking a tough stance on these British who are deemed to be violent and out of control. Conversely, immigrants with radical religious beliefs are not being prosecuted, and the police usually run away and leave them to their own devices with no one ever being brought to justice. It sounds very much like what we are experiencing here, and I suspect that it will just get worse as we go. Thoughts? Number one, Darcy, thank you for the great Scotch and for supporting this channel. It is your donations to the channel that keep the lights on, the tuna fish, the Spam stocked, and of course, the finest Scotch. Now, let us delve into this. This has been something I've been watching all weekend long. I've watched throngs of, crowds of, riotous-sized groups of battle-hardened jihadi-type men in England meeting on the streets with machetes, with knives, with axes, with bats, with anything they could get their hands on. And they whip themselves into a religious type frenzy. And then they're running and chasing white people with weapons, bats, machetes, knives, axes, whatever they can get their hands on. But if you go to an area where the white people are protesting, the police are beating the shit out of them with their batons, and they're arresting people. And the English, the Brits have had enough. Starting today, the people of England said no more coming down on us, no more arresting us. And yeah, they are being arrested in some areas, but in other areas, they're throwing rocks, stones, if you will, at the police and bashing them. They are chasing the immigrants out of their faces, and they are going to where the immigrants are living, like in a Holiday Inn and other places, and they're folks throwing rocks, attacking the buildings, and they're also setting them on fire. They have had enough of this shit. It doesn't have to do with religion, folks. It has to do with whether or not you are a decent human being. These immigrants, they are not civilized. They are not intelligent. They're not capable of living with others because their culture is not the same as that of the West, whether it's the United States and Canada or whether it's Europe or Eastern Europe. It is getting out of hand. And guess what? This is exactly what the aristocratics and the elites want. They want us fighting on our streets against people they have brought in to fight us because they know their system is failing and they don't want to get blamed for it. They are bringing immigrants in to start wars and fights so that they can blame the immigrants and us. You, as a right-wing extremist, that's what they're doing. That's the game they're playing. And it's not just America, Canada. It's not just Europe. Folks, it's still happening in Russia. In Russia, a young man is a boxer. He's a professional boxer. He got attacked by, guess what? A bunch of Muslim immigrants. And they gouged out one of his eyes. So his career as a boxer is over. You know, I saw the picture of him, just blood streaming down his face. You can see where his eye was slit open. These people are not civilized. They hate white people. They hate Black people who are Western culture. They hate everybody who is not Muslim. And they attack little girls and they rape little girls. And they rape older women. They rape anyone they can get their hands on. It's disgusting. It's out of control. But Darcy is correct. In all reports, governments everywhere are having their police ignore and protect the Muslims. In fact, I listened to it, folks. I didn't just read it. I listened to a video where a British policeman is meeting the head, right? The guy in the front of the line of the Muslim marching guys. And they're all wearing dark pants, dark shirts, dark coats. So they're all dressed in all black. Kind of easy to identify. And that's the most uniform I've ever seen. Terrorists. It's the most uniform I've ever seen. Hey, they're identifying themselves with a uniform. You bet you know who the enemy is. But the policeman told them, we're here not to stop you, but to protect you. And I thought, what the fuck did I just hear? We're here to protect you. Got a problem with that. I've got a big problem with that. I tell you what, folks, it has hit the fan. We're going to have ourselves hurricane-powered SHTF. Not just for me here where the hurricane's at, but around the world. It is coming to a giant evil head. All right, let's move on next. Who is next? We got 250 people live as we go up, and it's Chin Music with his super chat donation, $50 plus a 308. Gotta love that, Chin. Gotta love the 308. 5308. So it's above $50. That means I get a second Glenfiddich to start the show off, loosen the tongue, limber up the brains, and piss me off good. Semper Fi to you, Chin. Here's to everybody in the Prepared Mind Network. Be sure and share the internet address now. Thumbs up now. Let's get it on. Semper Fi. Oh, yeah. Chin says, rough week, man. I'll chime in later. Just be sure that all the race bullshit with Kamhola is just to inflame, enrage, and distract people from her awful record and abject stupidity. Oh, that's a guarantee right there, man. The Kamhola. Yeah, the race stuff is supposed to piss off, well, blacks, so that they hate you, hate Trump, etc. Right? This whole question about, well, is she black? Is she white? And they're trying to frame it as white people are denying her blackness. No. Both white people and black people and Hispanic people are all pointing to what? They're all pointing to the fact that it is mainstream media with Kamhola herself proclaiming her Indian heritage. Indian heritage. She did not become black until it was convenient for her, right? When they announced it. And she did not come out and correct them. You can go on Instagram or Facebook or X, Twitter, and you will find pictures of Kamala with her two not black parents. That's how black she isn't, folks. Her mom is Indian from India, Hindi, and her dad is, well, he looks kind of like a white man to me who just happened to live in Jamaica as a descendant of a cruel and vicious slave owner. And we're supposed to, right? We're supposed to give a shit. So what they are trying to do, and Chin is absolutely correct, they're trying to inflame and enrage people over race. But if you go on X, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you find videos of black Americans wearing MAGA hats, Make America Great Again hats, signs, even in Atlanta this weekend. That's right. Atlanta, the city in the middle of Fulton County that crapped all over Trump and crapped all over themselves in the 2020 riots. But folks, there are so many people there at that rally. It's incredible. Packed house. And black folks are supporting Trump. Why? Because he's not lying to them. Because they can relate to him. Because the man is trying to take him out. And they know exactly who the man is. And I think Trump has discovered who the man is. It is a shit show, folks. Absolutely shit show. And they want to make this about race. It's not about race, folks. It's not about race. You know what it's about? It's about divisiveness, political divisiveness. Now, thank you, Mr. Chin Music. She does have an awful record. She is abjectly stupid. And I recommend staying away from Google and any standard, even DuckDuckGo. Fuck the search engines. Go to Twitter or YouTube. And if you want to see videos and listen to what Kamala really says, you will find them. If you want to watch videos of Trump, when you type in Trump, you actually get Trump, right? But especially on X, Twitter, you will see a ton of idiotic speeches made by Kamala. And she is abject stupid. Folks, stupid. And she's continuing to do it. In fact, none other than James Carville. And I want you to get your money's worth out of this man. James Carville. You all may remember him. His nickname was Serpent Head. All right. James Carville's been around since, well, forever, the 80s, the 90s, but he became popularly famous. Everyone learned who he was. He's a white guy. He's bald-headed. He's a weird-looking, freaky dude, but he was Clinton's political advisor, Bill Clinton. And old Serpent Head, James Carville. As slimy and sleazy as he was, he's very good as a political scientist and understanding how to dupe and trick people into voting for the destruction of themselves and their country, i.e. voting for Democrats. And he said Kamala is continuing to make bad decisions and more bad decisions. In other words, he says she's fucking stupid. And again, I don't like James Carville, but he sees what they're doing. They're all putting their heads down. They're running as far left as they can. By left, I mean into totalitarian, anti-Christian, anti-life, anti-American, anti-freedom. So hard, they're just pissing everyone off. Only the most abject, stupid, and retarded human beings are going to be left to vote for Kamala by the time this is all over with. We are looking, folks, at one of the largest, broadest, widest, and deepest election divides that will ever exist because Kamala is such a shitty candidate. Unfucking believable. I had to use a picture of her in the thumbnail, and I'd like to thank my highly qualified, super duper thumbnail artist, Mr. Uman, for helping me create that. And it gave me an instant nightmare. Instant nightmare. I will not be looking at that picture when I take a shower. It'll scare me. Anyways, folks, it is a very serious situation we're in, but as usual, at the Prepared Mind channel, we bring fun into it. We're at 320 people live at 15 minutes in. We're smoking hot. Share the internet address up there. Make sure you are a subscriber down below and hit the thumbs up button. Let's get into some more questions. It is Sunday Night Live, which means it's your show. I've got a ton of stuff I want to talk about, but the question is, what do you want to talk about? You guys have the opportunity to run the gamut here, beginning to end. All you got to do is hit that super chat button up there, or down below, we've got, let's see, Venmo, CashApp, PayPal, and our own preparedmind.club, thepreparedmind.club link for doing super chat donations. So, Uman, Jolene, where do we want to go next? And by the way, hang on there, Mr. Dan Erickson. You can leave them up. You can leave them up there, Mr. Uman. We are having videos taken down again by YouTube. Taken down again by YouTube. Because, well, medical misinformation. They're not giving us strikes, but they're taking videos down. If I say one thing against what the people that know all about pandemics, if I argue with them, if I deny what they say, if I add my own information, they will take videos off like that. And they may even do it to a live stream. So here we are. Expect it, folks. It is probably going to be a good idea as we get closer to the election that in order to watch any video, you need to get it right when it comes out. Sunday Night Live, you need to be here live, right? Same with every other broadcast because they're going to start taking them down. They're starting with the medical crap. They're probably going to go into the political crap and say that when I say something about Kamala, like, well, she's a cock gobbler. They're going to probably in the future start pulling videos that mention that because they don't want, well, that to be an issue. We have more important issues other than how much of a whore she is. Anyways, Dan Erickson with a $5 super chat donation says, before cerveza, meaning COVID, before cerveza bug, an M193 round was 24 cents. Before I go any further, an M193 round is it's a 5.56 cartridge for the AR-15 or the M16. Works in both, but has a green paint on the tip, and it's not considered armor piercing, but it is considered, right, a penetrator. It's got a hardened metallic core in the middle. Anyways, one of those rounds was 24 cents. Now they are 52 cents. Do you think the price will ever come down? Dan, there is a chance that the cost of ammunition will go down. I predict that prices will stay the same or go up. And it's for this reason here. Whether, let's just say Trump loses the election, I think there will be massive violence because no one's going to fucking believe it. Nobody. And that means M193 rounds and all 5.56 and 2.23 rounds and 308s and 7.62 and all the popular calibers, 9s, 40s, and 45s and 357s are going to go bye-bye. The price will skyrocket. If Trump wins and the left wants to get violent, the price will go up because we will have to use our ammunition to preserve our republic, protect our republic, use our Second Amendment as intended by the Second Amendment, the Constitution, and the Declaration of Independence. More on the Declaration later, folks. The only way I see the prices coming down, maintaining, and then possibly coming down, Dan, is if Trump wins and the left realizes they got their asses kicked and it's time to shut up and go the fuck back in their little caves and back under their rocks and under their fucking bridges and go suck on a toadstool again and not cause any trouble for the next 4 years. I don't think that's going to happen. I think that's the one circumstance in which ammunition prices will come down. We talked, me and you, all of us, for years and years and years. We've talked about investing. Thank you, Dan. Investing. What do you do as an investment in hard times, in SHTF times, in preparation? Well, let's see. You buy food. Have we or have we not seen the cost of food just fucking skyrocket over the last 4 years with Biden? Yeah, it goes up 5%, 10%, 20%, 50%. Well, if you put your money in the bank, you're going to get 2% or 1% or fuck you no percent. So it's an investment. After you've done and you bought food, same with ammunition, the cost of ammo is going up. Hey, if you bought ammo last year, the year before, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, right, you'll never get those prices again. Right? You won't. So it's an investment in your protection. It's an investment with your capital, your cash, your money, your wealth. Right? And if you've got money after that, gold and silver. Let me tell you, let's see, when I started talking about gold and silver about 8 years ago, started talking about it. Silver was anywhere from, well, $16 to $18 an ounce, plus $1 to $2.50 spot. So puts you up around $20. Here we are 8 years later. Silver, even though it's being suppressed and fucked with and dicked with and toyed with, it's approximately $35 an ounce to buy. It's anywhere from 32 to 35. Just depends on where you're buying it. In other words, it's gone up about 50%, about 50 to 70%, depending on the type of coin you get. Gold, folks, 8 years ago was down around, I don't know, $1,500, $1,600 an ounce. It's bumping and bumping and bumping up around $2,500. It has gone up about 60%. 60% in just 8 years. That's huge. And it protects your wealth, right? Investing. Now, enough on investments. Let's go back. Let's do some more questions from you guys. It is Sunday Night Live, and the storm is upon us. Mr. Uman, as we sit at 350 people live. Right now, we've got Frank Rizzo with a $9.99 super chat donation. And what does he want to talk about? He said, did the Jews, meaning the Israeli country, did the Israeli Jews assassinate that guy in Iran to prevent war? Well, you know what? I guess it all depends on your perspective. Meaning, well, I don't know why they did it exactly. But there's going to be no, in other words, it's an unwinnable, untenable situation between Israel and the rest of the Middle East. It's just fucking nuts, right? Now, we were told, and I listened to military experts, I listened to Middle East experts, I listened to geopolitical experts, And we were told that if Israel, after October, the October 7th invasion and mass murder, terror attack, we were told, well, if Israel attacks anybody in Gaza or anywhere, Hezbollah and the entire Arab world will come down and converge and smear and destroy Israel. And then Israel attacked and nothing happened. And then all he did was complain about, civilians being killed while terrorists don't wear uniforms. It's hard to tell who the civilians are unless they're pointing a fucking RPG at you or a rocket, or they're coming up through a tunnel and trying to murder you. It's kind of tough. So when you asked, did the Jews, Israelis assassinate that guy in Iran? That was the leader of Hamas. I don't know if it prevents war, but it certainly will dissuade other Hamas and terrorists from claiming a leadership role, right? I'm the leader of this. You don't want to say you're the leader of Hezbollah or Hamas or Al-Qaeda or ISIS, right? Because you make yourself a target. You do. So when they assassinated the Hamas leader in Tehran, Iran, it looks like it's going to not prevent war, but cause more war. Iran, through its supreme leader, the Ayatollah Khomeini, said they're going to attack and retaliate. In fact, today, Iran announced that it is going to not only attack Israel, but if any Arab country tries to intervene and stop their attack on Israel, well, something bad could happen. Now, what happened that's making them say this is the country of Jordan, which is a Muslim Arab country that neighbors Israel. Back when Iran sent drones through several countries and into Israel, Jordan was one of them that shot them down. Well, Jordan has got drones flying over their sovereign airspace. Don't send your drones over their sovereign airspace if you're committing an act of war, because it makes Jordan look like an accomplice. So war is fucked up, folks. It really is. Did the Jews assassinate that guy in Iran to prevent war? It's possible. Hard to say, but possible and likely that it's going to prevent war, and it's also possible it's going to increase. I'm concerned as much about Iran as I am concerned about Turkey, the country of Turkey, where their president, Erdogan, just this week said, hey, why not? Why not attack Israel? He said there's no reason not to. Wow, fuck. Hey, we're sitting at 380 people live. I want to hit 400 people on the Prepared Mind channel live on this Sunday night, folks. And it is a Category 5 SHTF scenario, and it's going to get nasty as things, continue to get nasty. We got some more comments, thoughts from you guys. It's your show. So hit that super chat button, get your question down below, just like Marilyn Myers. And thank you, Marilyn, for the emails today. And she has a $19.99 super chat donation. Here we go. She says the Michaela KO'd Cam was awesome, but if the anti-Second Amendment folks didn't learn a lesson from the Venezuelan election coup and Special K somehow steals November, thugs will man the polls going forward. We are done. So I need to get into this here because Marilyn has packed a lot into this super chat donation. Let me get to some of my my notes here. Okay. Trump had a guest speaker at his Atlanta rally, and Michaela Montgomery was asked about Kamala Harris, and she knocked this out of the park, right? Right. There was just some, she said, well, aside from her record as a prosecutor, why don't we ask Miss Willie Brown if Kamala Harris cares about black families? So, I mean, with one line, right, Michaela Montgomery did KO camel toes the hoe. Right? So her record, what is her record as a prosecutor? Let's see, threatening and throwing the parents of truant children, including, well, that's right, minority and black mothers in jail, and taking their kids and putting them in, well, you know, the foster care system. Because the working mothers have a hard time when they're at work making their kids go to school. Now, I don't think that that's a great excuse, but it sounds like a realistic one in a ghetto environment where education is not considered important and where the influence socially is to become a hood rat, a thug, a rapper, right? It's a tough place to be, the hood. But what kind of sympathy, what type of understanding, what type of, well, shall we say, money did Kamala Harris put out there while she was Attorney General for the state of California? Well, instead of taking federal funds and helping people, she took her funds and used them to increase the police power. And then while she gave her speech, she did her hyena laughing. I'm going to arrest them. Right? She laughed about people's discomfort, pain, suffering, anguish, hard life. Right? Kamala, right? Her record is keeping black men in prison past the end of their sentences when she was the Attorney General for California, holding them in prison as free labor, state-owned slave labor, by holding free men in prison. And not to mention everyone that was wrongfully imprisoned, including the man that she tried getting murdered on death row by disallowing evidence to be presented, DNA evidence to exonerate himself as being falsely charged and accused by Kamala, who sat in the courtroom and laughed at the man that was about to die. I don't have anything for her. Now, moving on to the second half of Marilyn's comment, if the anti-Second Amendment folks didn't learn a lesson from Venezuela, let's start with that. In Venezuela, they had election fraud attempted by El Presidente Maduro, who is a communist dictator. Well, what happened? Fighting broke out, folks, after the election. And, well, if you're going to live, you need a gun. If you don't have a gun, you can't defend yourself. And there was a lot of shooting going on. A lot of shooting going on. So I think Marilyn's comments are really very important. Very important. Because if Special K, Special K is Kamala, folks, right? Because she's special. If she somehow steals the November election, left-wing thugs, right? They're going to man the polls. From that point forward, elections are done. And I think this is something we've all discussed for months now, that this is the last election for America. Unless Trump wins, we have some return to normalcy, some return to, shall we say, I mean, I'm at a loss for words sometimes because the insanity, right, is just off the hooks. The ethics of government right now, the ethical code is not being followed. There is an ethics code. There's an ethics code, and it's not being followed. It just isn't. The left wing has lost it. They're out of their minds. They're caught cheating left and right. Period. And I don't have to pull this out of my ass. I want to tell you about the evil that is Democrats. Can you believe that a former sheriff, not a deputy, but the former sheriff of St. Lucie County has been found guilty, folks? Democrats are evil. This is a Democrat sheriff. He is found guilty of ghost candidate voting. That's his fraud scheme, right? A ghost candidate voting fraud scheme. Folks, it's not the police that are the problem. It's the politics of the police you're confronted with. This guy was a sheriff, a former sheriff. Ghost candidate voting fraud scheme. Right? It's the politics of the police that's the problem, not the police. It's not the police that are a problem. It's the politics, and the politics are Democrat. I say anytime you have to deal with the police, be sure to check under their skirts for a weenie tuck. If they've got their weenie tucked, you know they're Democrats. And I don't know how to get around this, folks. How do we ask a cop when you get pulled over, or you ask a cop on the street for help? Dude, do you vote Trump or do you vote Democrat? Because if you're a Democrat, I'm not talking to you. I mean, that might be a way to do this. Because, yeah, the thugs are going to use their guns, folks, on us if Kamala wins. They might try to use their guns on us if Kamala loses. We're going to end up a lot like England and France and Spain and Germany and the rest of Europe. Do you know what's going on in Spain? Okay, so England had 3 girls stabbed to death and many other people stabbed also. In Spain, in the last week, 2 people have had their heads sliced. One of them, I think, was totally decapitated. Not only did he cut the person's throat, but he cut his head right off. Muslims. France, look out. Germany, same problem. It is everywhere. You can go on social media, because the mainstream media won't touch any of this, folks. The mainstream media won't report because it makes them look bad. It makes the Democrats look bad. It makes liberals look bad everywhere. Everywhere. They look horrible, awful, bad, period. They are that bad. It is Sunday Night Live, folks. Thank you, Marilyn, very much. Hit that super chat button over there or down below. Right? We've got links, thepreparedmind.club, Venmo, CashApp, and PayPal. Your questions, Sunday Night Live is great. You get to control the show, what we discuss. What we discuss. And, folks, we discuss everything we can. If your question, comments don't come through, then you might have one of those words that, well, the new algorithms are picking out. So use a code word or put dashes in the middle of the word. Kind of like Marilyn did there, a little bit of stuff like Special K, right? You don't want to put the word Kamala too much. They might figure out we're talking some shit about her. It's crazy. All right, folks, Democrats are not good people. So now we've got Boomer with a Canadian $20 super chat donation. And Boomer is a good guy. He's been here for a long time with us on the Prepared Mind channel, helping us out, figuring out what the hell's going on. He says, nobody in their right mind believed that Brandon, who couldn't fill up a parking lot, would get in. Therefore, who's to say that camel shit won't get in? And that's the scary point, Boomer. It truly is. During the 2020 campaign season, they tried all of that. You got to stand in circles. Remember that? You got to stand in fucking circles. If you want to go to the park, you go get in a circle and stay in it. Do you remember how fucking ridiculous that was? You can't go to the beach. You can't go to the park. You can't go to the mountains. You can't go to the lake. You can't do anything. If you're going to go to the store, you can only go in one at a time when they let you, and you got to follow the arrows around the fucking store. Remember that bullshit? Don't go to all the stores. Let's cram all the people in one location because we don't want people getting too close to each other, but we're going to get them all crammed together. Crazy, right? Well, even despite that, Biden couldn't get more than 50 people in one spot. He couldn't campaign and get anyone to come around. It was ridiculous. But somehow he got the most votes ever, 91 million. Now, right now, as we speak, Boomer, in America, several states have passed laws. You have to be a citizen. There has to be voter ID. And while it's not every state, it's started, Boomer. In addition to that, voting machines are being, shall we say, and I'm not confident about them. I don't like them. I don't want them. I want them taken out. and I want them to get the Office Space treatment with baseball bats and stomps. But they are trying to tighten them up better, like to stop the bullshit. They're going through voting rolls in multiple states and multiple districts all around the country, removing dead people, ghost voters, multiple locations or multiple people at the same location. They're removing tens and even hundreds of thousands of illegal voters. They're going to try and cheat. I have no doubt, Boomer. But if you look at the political map of the United States broken down by voting district, where you see red and blue, you'll notice, right? You'll notice that those blue spots are pretty small. And they're bigger than I like, but they are what they are. I look at it and I notice the place where I'm at is still being shown as blue, even though I go on the county voter registration and it's actually red. So I think a lot of things have changed on those maps, and they're continuing to use the old maps to show us. But there's more going on. In 2020, we had a lot of anti-Trump bullshit, and people bought it. I think after 4 years of Biden, when gas goes from $2.25, and $2.50 a gallon up to $4.50, $5, $7 a gallon, the cost of food doubling and then some over the last couple of years, the cost of living, the cost of rent, the cost of everything going up, the fact that in the last 3.5 years, the fruitcakes have crawled out from every disgusting, filthy, goo-covered crack. They're attacking children in every psychological way you can believe. They're attacking us. And Kamala, what a brilliant genius, opens up her campaigning with the RuPaul fruitcake drag show. They're continuing to push the LGBT crap on everyone. Two things here. Americans are sick and tired of it. And the last thing for these people is we see how many of them there are. 40% of the country is absolutely out of its fucking mind and believing this left-wing shit. That we can be communists and it'll be fine. And that everyone can cut their own dicks off and that's great. And children are sex toys and that's fine. And the military, well, if you're an adult and you want a sex change, the military will pay for it. And if you're an illegal, come here, we'll give you free money. And this week, I really want to thank Orlando. He was the first one out of the box to send me that receipt showing the illegal who had $13,000 in food credits. And I think another $4,000 in cash on their EBT card. That is all over Twitter, X. People are pissed off at what's being done. Inner cities, regular cities, suburbs, if you will, people have had it. People of all races have had it. But I think probably the biggest change is within the Black community. The biggest, most dramatic swing that's happening is the fact that Kamala isn't Black. She isn't. She is not Black. Or she lied to us and claimed she's Hindu, Indian. But that's what her mom looks like. And her dad doesn't look very Black to me. But I think Blacks are tired of being played. They're tired of being pandered to and not given anything other than more government bullshit. I think they're waking up. They're seeing how government steals from them. I mean, I know a lot of these people, they want all these social services in their area, but they've lost that. Well, who paid for that in the past, right? Well, I guess they did, huh? With their local taxes, and they got it taken away. It got all handed. They found out what it's like to be on the receiving end of getting screwed in a welfare system. And the illegal immigrants are getting nothing but welfare handouts. Crazy shit, man. Kamala, Boomer, she can get in. If she does, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say if she gets in. I don't think she's going to, but it's possible. It's absolutely possible. Let's continue if we shall. Who wants to step up next on the Prepared Mind channel It's Sunday Night Live, and hey, the storm is upon us. We got a Category 5 situation. Uh-oh. Oh, whoops, sorry about that. Dan Erickson with the $5 super chat makes a correccione. The M855 is the green tip penetrator, not the M193. The M193 is the basic round. Please forgive me. Went this far. I tell you what, if you get a choice between the M855 and the M193, my advice is go with the M855 round. The reason is it does have the penetrator tip. The 556 being a lighter round than the 762 or 308, right? It doesn't quite have the penetration, except the M855 does have more. And I tell you what, folks, you need to make every shot count, every investment count. Oh boy. Anyways, Dan, thank you very much. I appreciate you with the correction, but not making fun of me. Not making fun of me. I actually always buy the green tips. I always do, unless I'm buying hunting rounds, which are hollow points or soft points. And we are at 410 people live right now. That's what my counter says. We are doing great. Awesome news. Hit the thumbs up down below. Be sure. Folks, if you want to comment, you need to be a subscribing member. Anyways, let's do that, folks. It is your show. It is Sunday Night Live. So if you want to talk to me, if you've got something to say, you want to teach the world, and that's really the cool part, is this show shows you how you can make a difference. You get your question up here. We read it. We just hit 425 people going up, folks. Awesome work. You put your comment up here, you're reaching thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So you get to educate people and show them it's not just the guy on the screen with his opinions and his ideas and stuff that's important to him. On Sunday Night Live, it shows that you guys are the ones talking to the rest of the country. It's not just me. It's not just me. It's all of you guys. Now, while we're waiting for more thoughts and ideas, I want to stop the action and talk about what's important to me. This idea that Democrats are retarded, I don't think is overstated. I don't. They are the ones who are violent. They are the ones who are undereducated. They are the ones who are just idiotic. Again, how can they say, it's fine to tell your kids that the gender they were born with isn't them and that they should harm themselves with dangerous, irreversible operations and dangerous, destructive hormones and chemicals and drugs? They are that stupid. Now, this is going to blow you away. A woman from Texas, she decided she doesn't like Trump. Now, wait a minute. I thought we were supposed to be done with calling for political violence. No, that was only because of all the people that went, you know what, I wasn't going to vote for Trump, but now that they took a shot at him, put a bullet through his ear, I'm voting for Trump because the man knows, the man understands. He doesn't have to be up there and, he can represent us. He gets it. He understands the dangers of the deep state. He gets it, the dangers of the deep state. No surprise there. There's no longer a surprise there about the deep state, folks. We know who they are and what they're trying to do. I'm waiting for someone to hit the topic and hit that super chat button, and we'll talk about the assassination and where that's going. But anyways, they started calling for political violence immediately. So a Texas woman threatens Trump's life. Then she takes her unregistered gun. I don't have a problem with that, but apparently law enforcement in Washington, D.C. does, because she took her unregistered gun and she drove her car from Texas all the way to Washington, D.C. And the dumb bitch gets arrested. So only a complete dumbass, dumbocrat, thinks Trump still lives in Washington, D.C. And as if he's going to come out and make himself available to be shot at by people. Right? It's Democrats who keep pushing for political violence, making threats, and even going through some sort of attempt to get to Trump. By the way, Democrats, he lives in Mar-a-Lago, Florida, but he's not always there because he's got a jumbo jet that he flies around the country in. Oh, good golly, folks. Good golly. What do you want to talk about? What's on your mind? We just bumped 450 people live. Thank you, guys. Let's get it all the way up. Let's get it up there. Ooh, man. Who wants to step up next on the Prepared Mind channel, Sunday Night Live? And it is Dan Erickson back with a $10 super chat. And by the way, if I lose power and blip out, hopefully it comes right back on and I can get on in less than a minute or so. Ooh, man, I'll keep you guys informed of what's happening. But we could lose power here thanks to the, well, they can't make up their fucking minds. Is it a hurricane? Is it a tropical storm? Is it the end of the world? Anyways, Dan Erickson says there are two choices on November 5th. That's the day we all vote. Capitalism or socialism? Choose wisely. Every time socialism is chosen, countries fail. Oftentimes they choose socialism and they crash all the way into hardcore communism, and the enemies of the government are arrested, thrown in jail, and murdered in order to silence any future opposition. Once you go socialist, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back. So yeah, there's two choices. The other one is capitalism. But I'll tell you what, instead of using the word capitalism and socialism, which are economic systems, they are governmental economic systems. How about, I like the two concepts, Dan, of freedom and authoritarianism. Individual freedom and liberty or authoritarianism from the government. They are mutually exclusive, meaning you can't have one and the other at the same time. Either we are individually free or we have an authoritarian government that thinks you have no rights. The Democrats love sophistry. They love changing the meanings of words. And over the years, they change the meaning of words, and then they change how we should describe it. So when they talk about capitalism, right, they make it sound like fascism, something bad. They want, capitalism is bad. No. Crony capitalism or fascism is bad. But they say that all capitalism is bad. What is fascism? Fascism is the government giving lots of money to corporations, tax breaks to corporations, lucrative government contracts to corporations, and those corporations turn around and give money back to political candidates. So it is a system of bribery and understood extortion, where government gives, government takes, government gives, and the people in charge of government, the political elites, they are enriched by corporate donations. Does that sound a little bit like the system we have? That's not capitalism. That is crony capitalism. And that works in a fascist system. A fascist system is socialist. Socialism can be either fascism or communism. Anytime someone says, well, fascism is far, far, far right, and communism is far, far, far left, and they're on opposite ends of the political spectrum. No, they're not. They are absolutely not. Communism, far left of the screen. Fascism is right next to it. They're both authoritarian, all-powerful government. It's just one allows private property ownership for billionaires. The other, right, says the government owns everything. In both fascism and, folks, communism, the government is all powerful and you have no rights. So rather than say capitalism, socialism, I like to say freedom or authoritarianism, because authoritarianism puts both communism and fascism on the far left and freedom and liberty over here. And with freedom and liberty, you get capitalism. So the further we get away from freedom and liberty, the capitalism that exists becomes, well, it's not capitalism anymore. and it definitely leads to failure. Socialism, whether it's communist or fascist, fails. All right. Anyways, choose wisely. I choose freedom. Folks, Trump is further and closer to freedom by a country mile than Kamala or any Democrat. So let's hope for the best, pray for the best, and choose wisely, as Dan says. Let's do this. Let us have another super chat donation. We're well over 450 people live right now. And by the time this video is over, thousands will have watched and been here because of people like Brandon S. with a $1.99 super chat donation. It's your donations, folks, that support the show. And it's your questions that make the show interesting. So Brandon says, hey, the United States FEMA deployments are dispatched to the southeast now. Well, what's he saying? What is Brandon saying? Well, with this hurricane coming, right, they're expecting destruction of property, loss, all kinds of natural disaster issues. Pray for the best, folks. Get prepared for the worst. Right? Thank you, Brandon. One of the things that we have on this show is the philosophy, the belief that we all need to be prepared. We all need to be prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. I'm fully prepared. Power could go out, I'm fine. Water could be shut off, I'm fine. Stores can't get to them, I'm fine. No police, rioting crowds, ridiculous jihadis, Antifa, BLM, Palestinians. I'm prepared for all of it, folks. Everyone. I think everyone should be prepared to the best of their ability. And folks, when things go bad, people around you, your communities, you'll be impressed, I hope, with how they can come together. I really do hope they can come together. Now, thank you, Brandon, very, very much. We've got a lot to talk about, folks. There's a lot out there. Did you notice the last week that Google, Facebook, Meta, Instagram, social media, with the exception of Twitter X, they all tried erasing President Trump off of their search engines? They tried erasing him off of their social media, saying that the pictures of his assassination were fake news, that he wasn't assassinated, or there was no attempt to assassinate him, rather. Complete bullshit. They tried hiding the fact that the assassination attempt even happened. And guess what? You did not allow that to happen. You continued to share, talk about it, write about it, release videos, share videos, copy and paste. You guys are the warriors fighting these scumbags. You truly are the warriors fighting these scumbags. Keep fighting. And I'm going to talk to you about some other incredible shit coming up. But first, let's do another super chat. You guys are right there. You're all over it. Hit that thumbs up button. And Dan Erickson with a $2 super chat donation says, well said. And I want to thank you, Dan, for always challenging me. Challenge me, man. Challenge each other. We need to challenge ourselves to think, to prepare, and to be able to act when it comes. Thank you, sir, very, very, very much. And I want to talk about the Secret Service, folks. We're getting more information about what happened. And I have this big question right here. Why? Why? I find this fascinating. Did you know that the day Trump had that bullet go zinging by his head and through his ear, the day Trump was almost assassinated, did you know? Well, we all know that that was the first time CNN had ever televised a Trump rally. Did you also know that it was the very first time that Secret Service had counter snipers deployed to protect Trump at his rallies? This is the first time there were counter snipers? Why is that? Why? I want to know. Well, I'm going to tell you why, folks. Why is this event where Trump was very nearly assassinated the very first time the CNN did a live broadcast from the Trump rally? Well, we speculate they were told, you will need to be there. Something big's going to happen. Well, the FBI had CNN at Roger Stone's house at 5:30 in the morning when they came knocking on his door. They showed up telling him, you're under arrest, and CNN was there. They've had the media at multiple arrests. Seems to me that maybe the FBI or the SS Secret Service may have tipped off CNN that something interesting was going to happen. Now, I want to post this with respect to this is the very first time counter snipers were deployed and they got used. They wanted those snipers there, folks. The Secret Service, the SS needed them there because they knew it, folks. They knew there was going to be a shooter. Did the FBI tip off the SS? I don't know. But they knew there was going to be a shooter, it would seem, because that's the very first time they put in counter snipers. They absolutely knew they would need to kill that patsy shooter immediately, folks. Immediately. To go further, the SS has destroyed all recordings from the day Trump almost was assassinated. All the radio chatter between the Secret Service, the police, sheriff's deputies, etc. All those recordings are gone, missing, done. All that evidence, folks, it's lost, it's destroyed. Isn't there supposed to be an investigation, an internal investigation from the Secret Service, from the FBI, from the Department of Homeland Security? How about the NSA? How about the CIA? Shouldn't there be a huge investigation into this assassination attempt? So they erase, get rid of, destroy all their radio evidence? Who was saying what to who, when, and where? This isn't a robbery. This wasn't Jussie Smollett pretending he was being threatened. This was the next leader of the United States of America, President Trump, who nearly got his fucking brains splashed all over the crowd on live TV. I think now there's 100% enough evidence that there's a giant cover-up and the Secret Service was fully involved in letting the assassination happen, just like they did with John F. Kennedy in 1963. November 22nd, the Secret Service knew it was coming. They pulled men off of the president's car. They changed the formation so he wasn't being flanked by motorcycle police as he went through Dealey Plaza, fully exposed to shooters from behind and above, from the side, from... It's crazy, folks. This has the earmarks of a giant conspiracy at the highest levels of government. No fucking doubt ever in my mind again. The cover-up, the lies, the information that's out. Unbelievable. And again, the other day I talked about 15 seconds. 15 fucking seconds from the time the first shot rang out before the counter snipers hit the guy. 15 seconds. Are you telling me that a trained professional can't hear the shot, bring the rifle up as he zeroes in on the location, sight in, and blast that dude within 5 seconds? Round is already chambered. The safety can come off as he pulls the rifle around into position, sights in so he can squeeze the trigger. They're trained professionals. They're not like a street person who doesn't know jack shit, has to look around and hear 4 or 5 shots before they figure out where it's coming from, and then try and figure out, oh, there it is, and then get down on the scope and try and get the right eye relief, right? Your eye needs to be, depending on the scope, a certain distance. Well, a regular person has to go backward and forward to find it. A trained counter sniper, that's their job, is to respond to another sniper instantly. These dudes took 15 fucking seconds. The shooter got off at least 8 rounds. Not acceptable. Not acceptable. They made sure he got off all the rounds he could, and then they wasted his ass because dead men tell no tales. I tell you what, folks, I get a little hot under the collar. I spent in the middle of last night about 5.5 fucking hours watching JFK assassination videos, commentary on it, lead-ups, understanding who was involved, right? Dissatisfied Cuban exiles, the mafia, the Dallas Police Department, the CIA, the FBI, and the Secret Service, how they all worked together with the Vice President of the United States and other, shall we say, elite rich bastards who don't like what JFK was doing, as well as the military folks at the Pentagon, because they wanted their war in Vietnam. There were a lot of people that benefited, shall we say, from JFK's death. And a lot of people will benefit if Trump is assassinated. And I'll say this also. A lot of people are going to die if Trump is assassinated. There's not much, folks, between where we're at today, me and you. There's not much between us and civil war or partisan conflict. There's not much. Not much at all. All right, Mr. Uman has notified me. We got a super chat out there somewhere. What do we got out there? And it's Dan Erickson. Woo! With a $50 super chat donation. That means this guy right here and this guy right here are going to communicate. Unlike, well, the police, sheriff, and the Secret Service, the bottle and the shot glass, in my life, communicate quite well. So Dan says, you're getting thirsty, and your Friday night show on YouTube was not in my queue. What do you think happened there? Number one, Semper Fi, brother. Down the hatch. Salute, and, phew, here we go. I am getting thirsty. That is like mother's milk. Damn. God bless the Scotch and the Scots. Okay, your question. My Friday night show on YouTube was not in my queue. I don't know what happened, man, other than YouTube is removing my videos again. They're removing the videos. Friday night free-for-all was one hell of a good show. Why it did not make it on, why they erased it, well, the only information I've got from them was an email saying your videos that have commentary about the World Health Organization and the United Nations and the coming pandemics are not allowed to be on anymore. Now, I'm going to have left-wing retards, and they are left-wing and they are retards. They will hit the button. There's a button down there to complain about someone, to report people that they don't like, for hate speech and, denying election facts, because fact checkers say that Trump didn't win, that there is no fraud. That's what fact checkers say. They also say, right, that any information that is in conflict with the World Health Organization is dangerous and wrong, therefore it needs to be taken down. So they'll complain, folks, and say, I talked about the World Health Organization, or I talked about Cerveza bug, even though I didn't. Or if I even mention it in passing and don't make any conclusive statements, I just say, look out for that Jim Jones juice, folks. It's a killer, right? They're going to say, he said something bad, and they'll turn me in, and they'll just take the video down. No second guessing, no checking, nothing. Anyways, that's what I think happened there, Dan, is they're pulling my shit off, which is why being here live is so important. And don't worry, we will, shall we say, object to their removal of our stuff. Hopefully it gets returned because Friday night show was damn good. They're always good, folks. Every show. Why? Because we talk about facts and you guys bring your questions. Now, Monday through Friday, it's not open to the public, right? It's not It's not like the zoo, not like Sunday night. It's not like that, but we still have subscriber premium members showing up asking questions, right? At the preparedmind.club, it's $2 a month. Join there and show up every day if you wish to live and ask questions, right? It was a great show. It was done, and pow, took it down. So, Dan, thank you, number one, for that great drink. Number two, for the awesome donation. And number three, your continuing support and helping other people realize the risk and threats they face and that they better get prepared. Okay, Mr. Uman, who is next? Who's got something? It's Matt D with a $5 super chat donation. He says, we didn't even have 15 seconds to shoot each individual pop-up target in the military to qualify with our rifles. I hear what you're saying. When I was in the service, we didn't do pop-up targets for rifle qualification, right? There was other shooting courses and other types of things we could do, competitions, etc., where there were pop-up targets. But you know, we had regular shooting, we had rapid fire, we had a lot of fun stuff to do. But 15 seconds is an awful long time, especially if you're a trained Secret Service agent. And if your job is to act as a counter sniper, you are primed, you are prepared, you are qualified and trained to understand what the report, the sound of a rifle makes when it's fired in your general direction, or even if it's pointed away from you. You can hear it the same way you can hear a police car coming towards you. It sounds different than when a police car goes away from you. It gives you an idea of the direction in which the shot is going downrange. So yeah, I mean, 15 seconds. I think an average person could probably figure out where the shot came from, get down on their rifle, get their relief correct, get their finger on the trigger, and squeeze. These guys are some of the best trained. They're supposed to be. In fact, the Secret Service marksman, Secret Service agent, the counter sniper agent, he's the one that wrote the email that went out and has been released to the public where he said the leadership is awful in the Secret Service and that he can never use his resume as a Secret Service counter sniper to get a job anywhere, because anyone will say, well, weren't you guys the guys that took 15 seconds to respond to an assassin that everybody else saw on the roof? How could you not see him? How could you not be aware? How could you take 15 fucking seconds to respond? How? There's cops running all over the place. How could they not see the cops running around from their vantage point? Anyways, enough double guessing, right? He says their Secret Service, their reputation is destroyed. I'll tell you what, folks. The JFK assassination, until just a few years ago, by few, I mean 20, people did not second guess the Secret Service. But once they talked about William Greer, the driver, possibly being the one who turned around and shot the president, people started looking at the Secret Service. Why did that guy have to run from the car all the way up and jump on the back and try and help the president, JFK? He should have already been on the back bumper. There should have been two on the back bumper, or four, one on each side of the car and two on the back bumper. The Secret Service agent that was in the front seat next to William Greer, the driver, the moment there was a shot, he should have turned around, jumped over Governor Connolly in the middle seat, thrown the president to the floor, and jumped on top of him to cover him with his body. He did not get out of his fucking seat. That's two. Number three, how did the man, the Secret Service agent, jump off the car? The car behind the president, behind motorcycles. He jumped off the car and sprinted up and caught up to the president's car. If that car didn't stop, how did he run down the road faster than a car can travel? the film was doctored, folks. The Zapruder film and the Dix film. There was a second film that was taken that day. And like I said, I was up last night. The car came to a stop. Witnesses, multiple witnesses said publicly, the car came to a complete stop. The president was shot with the final headshot, and then it took off. That's how the other Secret Service agent got all the way up there and was able to jump on right when it was taking off again. But why did William Greer, the driver, stop, turn around, and see the president was shot? What's he doing stopping? One bullet went through the windshield. One bullet hit the frame of the windshield, right? Governor Connolly was hit 5 times. Let's see, through the ribs, out through the ribs, into the wrist, out of the wrist, and into the leg. 5 different wounds, right? JFK was hit in the back of the neck, the front of the throat, and through the damn head, right? There's bullets flying everywhere. And the driver doesn't take off instantly. In fact, he comes to a fucking stop. The other Secret Service agent doesn't jump over and protect the president. There's no other Secret Service agents on the car. In fact, when they left the airport, guys were trying to get onto the car and they were told to get off. Get away from the president. You don't get to be there. Secret Service fucked up intentionally and allowed that assassination to happen to JFK. And the Secret Service, in my opinion, has fucked up. Well, they did exactly what they were told to do, but we've caught them already. It's not going to take 30, 40, or 50 years, folks. We know that they allowed to happen what has happened. My opinion, you want to call it a conspiracy theory? You're welcome to it. You're fucking welcome to it, but I know better. I know better. All right, Mr. Ooman, let's do some super chats. Who wants to talk? And it's Rooster Cogburn with a 762 super chat donation. He says, I'd like to coin a new term, a Pino, which is a patriot in name only. The guys who talk a good game yet refuse to even give up their NFL, Bud Light, or Olympics. Wow. Yeah, the Pino. That's pretty fucking good, Rooster. That is. I got to tell you. Please remind us on a regular basis to use Pino. It's basically named after a rhino, Republicans in name only. They're registered as Republicans, but they don't vote Republican all the time. In fact, they only vote Republican when it's easy. When it's hard and it goes against the American people, they're like, I'll vote Democrat this time. Right? So a Pino, a patriot in name only. They claim to be patriots, but they want to drink their Bud Light. They want to watch NFL sports every weekend, baseball, basketball, whatever. Now, I get it, folks. I do get the idea of sports. The idea of sports is to relax. Let the rest of the world just fucking go away just for an hour while I watch my team. Right? It's my one hobby, some sports, for fuck's sake. But the problem is it's woke. It's woke. You got half the team taking a knee. Right? It's nothing but a bunch of celebration of I made it to the big game. I'm making $5, $10, $20 million a year to play a game, right? How much bigger of a diamond can I get in my ear or my nose, right? How much of a complete self-absorbed, narcissistic, dickhead athlete can I be and have everyone cheer me on, right? It's a fucking pro sports is a joke now. It's a joke. It's a fucking joke. It's woke and it's a joke. The commercials are woke. The teams are woke. They changed the name of the fucking Washington Redskins to who the hell are they? The Generals or the I don't even know what they're called anymore. Right? It's just stupid. Basketball is ridiculous. It's just absolutely asinine. There's no reason for me to be excited about sports anymore. Literally, I don't even watch strongman anymore. You want to know why? Because there are no incredible athletes there anymore. They're just these fucking roid-headed crazy bastards. And if I ever meet one, they'll probably tie me into a fucking pretzel. But, you know, I did what I did with no steroids at 305 pounds. You know, you don't have to be on steroids, but these guys take it. It's a shortcut. Any event, right? The Olympics is woke. It's not just woke. It is gay, off the fucking hook, woke, stupid. And I won't reward them. I won't pay to get in. If I go to a sporting event, folks, it's because a corporation has asked me to attend in my official professional capacity, because I have attended some sports in the last few years as a professional in my personal capacity. I guess you could put it that way. But I don't pay for the tickets for these woke motherfuckers. But I know there's some teams out there that are not woke. They refuse it. Good for them. And I think maybe they can be supported. But, I mean, there's just so much to it. Anyways, protect yourselves. Avoid the bullshit, folks. Okay, anyways, thank you, Rooster. Great fucking comment. Ooh, man, who's next? Who's got a super chat? Who's next? It's Dan Erickson with another $10 super chat. And he says, I'm 63 years old. When we were young in school and had an altercation, it was off school property and dealt with man to man. Altercation, a fight. Now you're 63, I'm 54. So you graduated in 79. Most likely. Back then, yeah, we had fights on school campus. We had fights off school campus. We had fights on the weekends, weekend nights. You dealt with things differently back then. Today, people fight on social media. It's ridiculous, right? Keyboard warriors and pinos out there talking a bunch of trash. Don't just be a patriot in name only. Don't just hide behind your keyboard. Get out in front, folks, and you will feel the adrenaline rush of dealing with reality. Going to your local Republican political party headquarters and say, I want to get involved. I want to do canvassing. I want to do get out the vote. I want to man this a registration station. I want to be involved on voting night in November. I want to make sure that things are done right. Get involved. And you will feel an incredible rush. People will hate you. People will love you. Learn to accept and deal with both. Because, folks, whether Trump wins or loses, we're going to have a bunch of shit sandwiches to eat. And if Trump loses, it's going to be even worse. Either way, it's going to be a shit sandwich storm. Right? There's going to be Sharknadoes out there biting your ass. But if Trump loses, it's going to be even worse. You better get your protection on, right? What is your protection? Your personal spiritual armor. Understand who you are and what you believe and start putting it out there. Hiding behind your computer, it's great. You're contacting people, right? Right now you're hitting the thumbs up. Right now you're sharing the internet address. That's the start. But I tell you what, when people out there see you and talk to you and realize who you are and what you're saying, every time I bring up politics, folks, I get ready for a fight. But it doesn't happen. Instead, I get people going, man, I agree with you. I like what you're saying. I can't believe what you have a YouTube channel. I'm like, yeah, it's called The Prepared Mind. Look it up. Join us. Learn something. Realize you're not alone. Don't believe the fucking news, right? Anyways, it's we're not kids anymore, Dan. We're not kids anymore, right? We don't have to go out and have a fist fight to solve our problems, right? We should be able to be intellectual. Be prepared for violence, yes. Be prepared to defend ourselves, yes. But man to man, we should be able to deal with people out there as well. It's coming to it, I think. Take a look at England. Take a look at Europe. They're having to deal with shit man to man and, well, in some cases, crowd to crowd. Protest to protest. The conflicts are coming. In a way, I expected it to be here sooner. In a way, it's coming really fast, faster than I thought it would. We're now at August 4th. August, September, October, November. Right, the first week of November, folks, we're exactly 3 months away. under 100 days, 3 months away. It's coming. The stupid is going to go off the hook. You need to be prepared. And I want to thank everybody for coming here live. We've been over 450 people live all night long once we got there. Keep it going. Let's share that internet address. Let's hit the subscribe button if you're new to the channel. And man, who is up next? We got Chin Music with a $9.99 super chat donation. And he says, John, check the site that YouTube keeps censoring my statement. What the fuck? Check the site, chat. YouTube keeps censoring my statement. But I tell you, Chin, they want to stop everybody from having something to say. Everybody. He says, let's see if I can do this. Well, that one made it on there, Chin. Cracks me up when guys at work try to tell me how patriotic they are while listening to Green Day. Green Day called for, well, getting rid of Trump, right? Watching the Olympics, I won't do it, but other patriots claim they are. And eating Ben and Jerry's anti-Trump extra gay ice cream. Yeah, those are things you'll never catch me doing right there. I hear you, Chin. Folks, if you're going to put a word out there, put little hyphens or dashes or quotes around it, inside it, break the word up a little. They're doing everything they can to silence us. Now, fortunately, I'm able to speak freely. But as discussed, that's actually coming down now. It's actually coming down. We're at, good golly, an hour and a half almost. We're at 90 minutes, folks, in. I've got a lot of interesting stuff to talk about, but it's your show. It's Sunday Night Live. We're over 450 people live right now. Thousands are coming after us, after hours, when it's done, and all week long to hear what you want to talk about. So what is on your mind? Ooh, man, who's up next? And Boomer is back with another $20 Canadian super chat donation. And he says, in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, where our good buddy Steve Conlon is, in fact, in Belfast, Ireland, we've got a regular here on the show from Belfast, Ireland. They're having all kinds of protests, folks. The response from white Europeans that their countries are being invaded is incredible. So Boomer says, in the UK, Islamist gangs and their supporters are now attacking the Brits. Their civil war might be starting. Something that we're certainly not immune from over here. I agree with you 100%, man. 100%. In fact, Elon Musk agrees with you, Boomer. He agrees with me, all of us. This is the quote he has. Civil war is inevitable. And he's talking about the UK and the anti-immigration protests spreading and growing and getting louder and more violent. Elon Musk is warning and saying civil war is inevitable. I would say it's imminent. And I think you, Boomer, would also say the same thing. The Islamist gangs are attacking the British people. The British people are starting to fight back. If you think the Second Amendment is not important, then you must be a fucking Democrat. Because we are seeing now, more than ever, the importance of having an AR-15, the importance of having a shotgun that can load buckshot and slugs, the importance of having and practicing with your firearm. Very important. Elon Musk agrees with us, folks. Elon Musk agrees with us. Right? The Labour government, that is the government in charge of the UK, is calling anyone who stands up for themselves, their communities, for the English culture. They're calling them far-right thugs. Can you imagine you, Boomer, you out there, any of us, me being called a thug? We know who the thugs are. It's the people who don't accept the culture, the law, or the language, running around with knives, machetes and axes, stabbing and threatening people. It's not going to get better. No siree, Bob. Not a bit, right? There are fights. There are riots. There is, in fact, even the English, the white people, the poor amongst them, they're now looting stores. I don't understand that, but it's fucking crazy. 35 different cities in England are in big trouble. And the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, a complete socialist, wacko, anti-British asshole, right? Says the police are now going to crack down. All right. Thank you, Boomer, very much for the great support and great topics. Yeah, we are at risk in Canada and the United States of America because we have a ton of these wacko lunatics over here. But down here, and I know you've got guns up there in Canada, just not as many as the United States of America. They try that shit down here. I think there's going to be a lot of Swiss jihadis, if you know what I mean, like Swiss cheese, Swiss jihadis. Ooh, man, who's next? As we roll on. And it is Inigo Montoya. I do not think that means what you think it means. With a $4.99 super chat donation. He says, Federal Reserve, not federal. No reserve, Secret Service. No reserves, Secret Service, not secret. No services provided. Shall we continue? Oh, sure. Right. The Federal Express, the FedEx is more federal than the Federal Reserve because the Federal Reserve isn't even owned by American banks. If there's an American bank out there that owns a portion of the private Federal Reserve Bank, that private bank is owned by foreign banks. In fact, Chase, I believe Goldman Sachs, and other major financial and banking institutions, those banks are owned by other foreign banks. Believe it or not. Indigo Montoya, thank you very much. The Secret Service is not so secret. They've been exposed. They've been exposed, just like all the freaks that libs of TikTok is exposing, right? And they're getting outed. And in some cases, and boy, this is terrible that they're getting doxxed. They're getting revealed who these freaks are out here, these violent, anti-American, child-molesting pedo freaks. Good golly. All right, man, who's next? We've got Dan Erickson back with a $2 super chat donation. And if someone calls you a yo-yo, it's not an insult. They're not saying you're a fucking yo-yo. They're saying you are on your own. Yo, you're on your own. Now, the homos say you're YOLO. You only live once, so you should be a freak. Just unbelievable. These people are freaks. But, folks, you are on your own. Remember 2020, when all over the country, cities were burning because Antifa, BLM, and left-wing assholes everywhere decided they would go out and cause trouble. And if nobody stopped them right away, they would start looting, burning, murdering, BLM. Burn, loot, murder. And the police couldn't stop them. Or the police were told not to stop them. Well, in the town I lived in extreme Northern California, we stopped them and they went home. People, and I think Reading, beat the shit out of them, put them back on their fucking buses and sent them back to the major left-wing cities. Even down in, I believe it was Riverside County, or was it San Bernardino? Bus loads of these left-wing assholes showed up. But all over the country, reports came in. Police departments and sheriff's departments said, you're on your own. So people said, that's right. I guess I'm on my own. Thank God for the Second Amendment. Down in the great state of Florida here, folks, you know I love the sheriffs here in this state, as long as they're Republicans, and most of them are, like Sheriff Grady Judd, right? Someone comes through your door, blast them right back out the same door. Another sheriff was asked, hey, your deputies shot this guy like 68 times. Why did they shoot him 68 times? You said, well, they ran out of ammo, right? The bad guy tried killing the sheriff's deputy. They made sure that motherfucker was dead. Saved the taxpayers a bunch of court money, didn't it? And it saved, well, the taxpayers from having that criminal be released by a judge if he was left-wing and turn loose on the people so they could commit acts of violence. Oh, folks, it's easy as fuck out there. Let's do it. Thank you, Dan. Who's next? Who is next? It's Mr. Skylight, my good friend with a $19.99 super chat donation. And Lao Tzu said, quote, a prepared mind is the greatest weapon. And I really appreciate you finding that one, Mr. Skylight. That is terrific. I got your video on multiple shooters from retired Major Jeffrey Prather. I'm going to be watching that sometime between midnight and 3 a.m. because I'll wake up not sleeping real good. We'll flip that on and kind of watch and listen. And anyways, that's what I do, folks. I will get the information in my head one way or another if possible. Anyways, yes, I agree with Lao Tzu that a prepared mind is the greatest weapon. And it would be none other than the famous scientist / researcher, Louis Pasteur, who created or came up with the quote, chance favors the prepared mind, our channel motto and name. Thank you, Mr. Skylight, very much for the great donation, supporting this channel so we can continue to spread the word. And the word, folks, is get prepared. Freedom isn't free. And the tree of liberty, it needs to be watered with the blood of tyrants and patriots from time to time. I think that time is coming closer. I don't think it's imminent, but it's closer. And never forget that the uber rich, the super powerful, the corporate and banking masters, the political elite, they want you and me fighting on the streets. They think that they won't be held accountable. Remember, we all need to remember that they are the reason this happened. They let all these illegals in. They allowed them to violate our laws. They encourage and allow communism and terrorism. And because of that, we're going to have massive violence. They will, if I have any say, hold them accountable. When that time comes, if I find out where one of these bastards are and they're within, reach out and touch them distance to me, I'll make sure that the accountability happens. I think we all owe that to ourselves. We owe it to our country and we owe it to our families to hold all responsible accountable. I'm not just going to be mad, folks, at the terrorists. I'm going to be mad at I'm not going to be mad, folks, at the bad law enforcement. I'm going to be mad at those who told the law enforcement to be bad. Everyone gets held accountable, ultimately, in this life or after it. I know where I stand. Nobody's perfect. Nobody. But I think that the heart knows. Anyways, let us move on before I wax too philosophical. And be sure and share the internet address because we got a lot to talk about down here. Nancy Cake checks in with a $10 super chat donation. And she said, nothing said, but take care. Semper Fi, prepared mind. And John, thank you, Nancy, so much. Please protect yourself. Put yourself in and around good people. And I think that really is some of the best advice we can take these days is surround yourself with good people, people you can trust, people you've known a long time. That's the best we can do. You surround yourself with unknowns, people you haven't known, things can get weird. They truly can. All right. Thank you, Nancy. Mr. Uman, who do we want to put up next? Who's out there? Holy cow. It's Davey D. Good golly, with a $59 super chat donation. And it's over $50, which means 15 years single malt Scotch whiskey coming right up. right here before we get to Davey D. Oops, I rolled that one a little thick. I'll take it. Now it's starting to feel a little dry. Anyways, Davey, down the hatch. Cheers and Semper Fi. Woo! Wow, man, I tell you. Let's do it. He says, not patronizing the range because they require my 9mm PCC to be shouldered. That equals Form 1 equals registry. Not patronizing the range. I tell you what, down here in Florida, it's a little different than where I was at in California. Where I was at in California, I could go to a number of places, including my own property to shoot. In Florida, it's a little different, a little trickier. You have to know a lot more. So I've been using the range. And some I've discovered I don't like. Others I've discovered they're okay, right? When they get a little too bossy for me, I don't care for that, right? I don't care for it. They want to look at my weapon. They want to check my ammo. There's a bunch of shit. I don't like that, right? I've been to ranges in Sacramento area, Central Valley, where the range master has rules, but I kind of get it. I kind of do. They've got their rules because there's idiots out there. They got their rules because some people are very green. I get it. But, making you register with them and, I don't know, pay their fees, a lot of that shit I don't like. But if you don't have a choice, folks, I get it. Now, Davey D, you see him pictured there. Looks like he's out in the great outdoors. So he probably has the great and I would call it wonderful opportunity to shoot out away from everyone else. As a kid, we grew up shooting on Bureau of Land Management land, BLM, not the new BLM, but the original BLM, Bureau of Land Management. And there were places that people shot where I lived at on the in Northern California last, right on the side of the highway, literally right on the side of the highway was a big dugout on the mountain where the county or the state would take a tractor, dig up dirt, put it in a snow plow, and they would spread that sand on the ground for ice, snow control, traction. So they made this big dugout, natural, with a mountain behind it as a backstop. People go shooting there. In fact, the last time I qualified with my concealed weapons permit, it was right there. But there were several of those. Anyways, enough on shooting. The important thing is to get to a range, public or private, indoor or outdoor. Do your best to avoid the stupidity, but get some trigger time, get some training, get some practice. Davey D, thank you a million for the great super chat. Let us move on. Mr. Uman, where are we rolling next? We got Dan Erickson. He's back with another $10 super chat donation. And he says, have $60,000 in gold bought at $1,850 an ounce. Going to buy more on the dip. The American paper dollar is in trouble. Now, we have a lot of stuff coming right now. A lot of crazy stuff. The dollar is in trouble. The dollar isn't, in my opinion, just in trouble. To use a medical term, I think it is in the intensive care unit at the Dollar Hospital. It is on life support. They're coming to the point here where either banks are going to start failing again, or they have to lower the interest rates in the hopes that investors will put their money back in the market so that companies can make investments and spend money, but people are afraid, especially big investors like Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett, I found an article on him today, is sitting on cash, an immense amount of cash, billions of dollars in cash money. Why is he doing that? Because he's expecting a stock market crash. And if the market crashes and loses, say, 25, 50%, he can buy back in at, well, 50% off, 80% off. So they're doing that. They're sitting on their cash. They're like, we're not putting our money in the market. Warren Buffett and other serious investors, because they know the market's in trouble. The dollar is in trouble. Dan, you know about de-dollarization because you know about gold. China is de-dollarizing. Russia, they will never buy ever another U.S. Treasury bond or any such thing. Other countries look at what the United States Treasury, the Federal Reserve, the, shall we say, Biden administration, the U.S. government. They froze their assets and they said, we're going to steal your American system assets. So other countries are like, all you have to do is not make the United States government happy and they'll freeze your money, steal your money, the wealth, right? So they're getting rid of that. They're de-dollarizing. They're getting rid of bonds and notes and T-bills, whatever you want to call them. They're not supporting the country. They're taking their U.S. dollars, whatever they got in their country, and they're just getting rid of it. I believe in the country of Iraq. It is illegal to use United States Federal Reserve currency. Illegal. It's against the law. They got rid of that shit. They're so pissed off because the United States government will not give them their oil money. The United States government is acting like the parents of other countries and telling them where they can and can't spend their money. So other countries are like, fuck it. We don't want the dollar anymore. At the same time, concurrent to all the stupidity out of DC, the BRICS countries are coming together and they are forming their own international monetary trading system. Right? Russia, Brazil, India, China, and dozens of other countries representing over 50% of the world population, over 50% of the world's resources. They control a lot, folks. And they're like, you know what? We're creating a system outside the US dollar and outside the US SWIFT system, which is the debt settlement system. And they're about to announce come October, and Dan is well aware of this, they're about to announce a gold-backed currency debt payment system. It's supposed to, according to all the experts and all the insiders and all of the leaks that are coming out, that it's going to be based on having at least 40% gold backing your currency so that it is a reliable exchange of currency outside of the US dollar. Every central bank around the world, every major bank around the world, all the rich people around the world are buying gold. Buying gold. Why? Because there is so much debt. It is being speculated that these banks and nations, central banks and both independent banks, are buying all this gold because they're going to have to revalue the gold. So instead of it being $2,500, and congratulations to you, Dan, for buying it at $1,850, right? And if you paid a premium on that, you're sitting at $2,000-ish. And you're up 25%, what, in the last year or two, right? That's a lot of percent, folks. But if they double the gold price in order to make things work monetarily to take care of debt, I've heard gold prices, folks, anywhere from $5,000 to $50,000 an ounce. Years ago, I did a video on $1 million gold because that would solve all of the debt problems. Because if they just said gold is $1 million an ounce, fine. But they're saying, well, if we make it 10,000 or 20,000 or 50,000, we can solve all of our debt problems. The banks that hold all of this gold can now be solvent again instead of being in debt. Well, we could see some serious shakeups. Serious shakeups. Something that could make the 2008, the dot-com bubble, hell, even the Great Depression and crash look small in comparison. The stock market in 1929 to 1932 over a 3-year period, a little less than that, lost over 80% of value in their stock market because it was a flurry of stupidity and stupid investment practices. Sound familiar? So we had a huge dump, folks, last week in the stock market. Expect to see more chaos. The response? Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Thank you, Dan, again, and stay prepared, brother. Ooh, man, who's up next? What do we got? What is happening? It is Oliver himself. No, he says Chin Music got a hold of him and says he's picking up food at a restaurant. Liberals suck shirt wins again. Some betas old lady said she liked my shirt and her limp-wristed hubby lost his shit and they were off to the races. Laughing my ass off. I'm laughing too, man. That's great. So, folks, Chin Music is a patriotic madman of goodness. He makes me laugh. You should, if you guys knew him, you would laugh your ass off. I'd like to get to know him better. I'd like to get to know all of you guys better. But here we are. He's wearing his liberal suck t-shirt. This is great. So some woman said she liked it. Her beta loser left-wing sack of shit husband threw a fit, and they got in a huge fight, and all Chin Music had to do was pick up his food. That is some funny shit. I sure hope that, maybe the woman will beat some sense into her beta cuck of a husband. Wow. Just wow. I mean, I've heard a lot of women complain. Where are all the real men? Well, vote Republican and go to Republican functions and you'll find them. All righty, Mr. Uman, who wants to step up next? Thank you, Chin Music. And it's Dan Eriks again. $10 super chat donation all over the place. Thank you, Dan. The button's up here and also down below. We've got, let's see, CashApp, Venmo, PayPal, and also the preparedmind.club link. He says, Dan says, don't forget Rooftop Koreans during the Rodney King riots. Now, here we go again, right? Let's see, 30 odd years ago, 30 odd years ago, we had the Rodney King riots. Rodney King, unfortunately, broke the law and had the living shit beaten out of him. And this is before cell phone pictures and videos were available, but somebody had a camcorder, a video recorder, right? One of these things looks like you're on a television news crew. They were big then. and they released it to the public, and the people in Compton and Watts down in the LA area went nuts. It didn't spread across the whole country the way it did with St. George Floyd, because they weren't using race as a weapon like they are today. But back then, the people said, that's enough of this shit. We've seen too much. And here we go, right? So what happened is, the Koreans who own businesses said, you know what? We're not the cops, and you're not going to come burn, loot, and destroy our stores or murder us. So they went up on their roofs, and they took their ARs, their AKs, their Mini 14s, their shotguns, their rifles, and they protected their property and defended themselves from looters and scumbags. And that, my friends, was a very fascinating lesson about how shit really works when shit hits the fan. When the storm is upon you, be like the Rooftop Korean Americans. They're Korean Americans. And they're like, no. Sorry, you're not destroying our shit. I kind of feel the same way. You're not destroying my bunker. You're not destroying my neighborhood. You're not destroying my town. Anyways, let us continue. We're at, holy cow, we're at an hour and 55 minutes. Crazy, hour and 55 minutes. We're almost at the 2-hour mark. If you've got something to say, hit the super chat button, just like Chin Music did. And he did another $4.99. He says, if I ever hear a USA chant at the Democrat rally, I'll wear a white dude's for Kamal t-shirt to the gym. Holy shit, that'd be funny. But you'll never hear that, right? What he's talking about is when a crowd starts the USA, USA, USA. I got to tell you, I've heard so many chants from pro-Palestinians, from these fucking Antifa and BLM and these idiot college. I hate chants, but I understand chanting USA, right? But there's so much of that stupid nursery rhyme mentality coming out of college students that makes me sick. But USA, that's the one I can still deal with. In any event, he says, if I ever hear it at a Democrat rally, I have never heard it coming out of Democrats. But I would love to see, and I'll hold you to that, Chin, if anyone, because the Democrats have been accused of that. They've been told, you guys are so unpatriotic, and they are. They are. And James Carville knows that no one wants to get excited about being a Democrat because they're not. They aren't for the USA. They're against it. They're death to America, not USA. And that is going to take them down. And I want you to remember, every Democrat that lives around you, every Democrat in your neighborhood, in your city, and your state hates America. Hates it because they're voting for people who hate America, who hate freedom, who hate the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. They hate the Declaration of Independence, and they hate you, and they definitely hate me. White, male, Christian, patriot, veteran. They hate me. Unbelievable. All right, Chin Music, thank you, brother. We're coming to the end of it. And I have some stuff. I got to get this in. I've got to get in a huge kaboom, right? Trump. He went after camel toes, camel hoe. He went after her, right? She said, say it to my face. So he's like, let's have a debate. She backed out of the debate this weekend, folks, backed out. So Trump said, yeah, she's too afraid because, quote, she's really dumb. I mean, he was going to say it to her face. She is really, really dumb, folks. Really dumb. I want to remind everyone, this just came up. Kyle Rittenhouse is no longer on my Patriot list. That's right. Kyle Rittenhouse got the Kenosha hat trick. He denounced Trump, folks. He said he was going to write in another candidate. And people got fucking pissed. And I'm pissed at Kyle Rittenhouse. Fuck him. He tried walking it back because of backlash. And he has ties, folks, to a Never Trump organization that got uncovered. Kyle Rittenhouse, folks, shit on all of us. Shit on all of us. You and I, all of us, supported him and his right to self-defense. He stood up for himself and others. He showed the liberal scumbag murdering sacks of shit. You can't just kill people, right? And guess what? He shit all over us. He shit all over Trump. Fuck the little bastard. No apology is going to be big enough or good enough for that little piece of shit, right? It's just not enough, right? Just like the Secret Service, you guys let us down. Too bad, right? Too bad. Now, I've got another one for you. Time is running out, so I'm going to move as quick as I can, folks. Neil Gorsuch was on TV. Neil Gorsuch is a Supreme Court justice, right? He is a conservative, and he has voted conservative very well. But he is not, I repeat, he has not been as conservative as Justice Alito or as Clarence Thomas, but he's been there. Anyways, he wanted to respond to Biden's reform plan for the Supreme Court. And I've got some interesting comments I want to share with you because I don't like it when these people play games with us. I really don't like it at all. So let's take a look at what Neil Gorsuch said and what happened, right? basically, I say never mind what Joe Biden and his attempt to destroy the Supreme Court and create an unaccountable bureaucracy is all about, right? What Biden wants to do is destroy our country. He truly does. He wants to destroy the country. He's not going to give up until he has done just that. Gorsuch said this, and he emphasized, folks, the importance of the Declaration of Independence. That's what he talked about, the importance of the Declaration of Independence and the inherent, which means God-given, the inherent rights of individuals, not the collective rights, but the individual rights coming from God. He emphasized the importance of understanding that. And he suggested that the overregulation of the people may undermine our fundamental freedoms. And he's right. And that's what Joe Biden wants to do. Right? Joe Biden wants to create a bureaucracy that oversees and controls the Supreme Court, right? They want to hold them accountable, and they want to have term limits, and they want an enforceable code of ethics and conduct, as if Biden or any Democrat could do that, right? So he says that can restrain the Supreme Court, which upholds our protections and our constitutional rights. And the Constitution was written to limit government, and the Bill of Rights was written to tell the government you can't do these things. So I found it interesting that it was Neil Gorsuch that says, hey, our individual liberties, our rights can be undermined, and we could lose our basic or fundamental freedoms. And now the important note for me, folks, was this reference to the Declaration of Independence. I don't think it was unintentional, because when a Supreme Court justice refers to the Declaration, it authorizes violence against the government. Right? When a government becomes abusive of its people, when it becomes tyrannical, you and I, through the Declaration of Independence, have the right and duty to overthrow that government. So when a Supreme Court justice talks about not our rights, not court cases, not the Constitution, but they start referring to the document that started it all, that said, fuck you to tyrants. When a Supreme Court justice doesn't refer to case law or statute or the Constitution, when they refer to the Declaration of Independence, that's pretty darn, shall I say, nasty. Absolutely. It refers to the nastiness of government. That they're that bad that now we need to start looking to the Declaration of Independence. Now, when Amy Coney Barrett, Supreme Court Justice, was affirmed and became seated amongst the other justices, she said that the Declaration of Independence is not law. Well, if it's not law, then how can it authorize us? How can it? But see, the Declaration doesn't authorize anything. It recognizes, just like the Constitution recognizes our rights. Right? The Declaration recognizes our rights, reiterates our rights, explains our rights, not only to us, but also to government. So I found it extremely fascinating that Neil Gorsuch would refer to it along those lines. The government proposed by Biden would be overstepping its bounds, its bounds by leaps and bounds. Very crazy stuff, folks. That's where we're at. Government needs to be overthrown when it's abusive of our rights. Now, we are after, folks, the 2-hour mark. We are. We truly are. And I want to leave on kind of a happy note, right? Joe Rogan did some stand-up comedy. He made fun of the vaccine bullshit, said that Pizzagate, that's a real deal, and even made jokes about Michelle Obama being a man. People speaking up, and I like it. Speaking up, and I like it. And folks, the Pentagon has deployed another carrier strike group to Israel. The World War III potential is there. Riots, unrest, civil war, partisan conflict, they're happening in Europe, and they can happen here very quickly. I want to thank everyone for showing up, for sharing the internet address, for becoming subscribers and hitting thumbs up. Thank you to one and all, and thank you to the Super Chat donations for keeping us right here where I like to be, talking to you guys live. And I'll be back tomorrow, 0:30. Well, unless I get washed away. I guess we're going to find out, huh? Whether I take a canoe to work or the Prepared Mind tank. Anyways, you guys, be cool. Chance favors the Prepared Mind. Aren't you glad you're a prepper? And don't forget, make sure you get Patriot Coffee at cafefe.com. You guys, love you all. Semper Fi. God bless America.